What is up, party people? Happy Tuesday. Looking at people freaking out. January 6th. A lot of questions about that yesterday. How do you feel about it? I think if you're walking through there and you weren't fighting anybody, you didn't break into anything, you didn't damage anything, you weren't punching a cop or anything like that, then I think the whole thing was ridiculous. If you crossed the line, well, then you crossed the line, and that's something you got to deal with. But it's the reaction. See, that's the whole thing with Trump. Everything's a reaction. If you allow people to live in your head rent-free, it's going to be a nightmare. Like, even a relationship, right? Everybody's had a relationship. Somebody has broken up with somebody. They've been in your head rent-free. Vice versa. You've broken up with somebody, and you're in their head rent-free. And it drives you crazy. It doesn't make you happy. It doesn't. Like, I watch these. My friend just texted me, and she's all, I'm watching the MSNBC people. I'm, why are you doing that? She goes, because it's hilarious. It is hilarious. She goes, I've never seen anything like, she's not really into politics or anything. She goes, the whole sky is falling. The world is coming to an end. She goes, does anybody buy this? I said, no. I said, nobody buys it. Not anymore. Nobody on their side does. Now, they're going to come back because they're looking for comfort, right? And that's what the people that are still left watching any kind of cable news will do. They'll come back. They're looking for a little comfort food, right? And some of these people will offer them that. But the reality is simply, people have moved on. Now it's put up or shut up time. That's the big deal. Put up or shut up. And you've got to put up. If you are the Republicans, if you are Trump supporters, this is what you've been waiting for. You've got the opportunity now to show everybody this is what we're all about. And it's not going to be easy. I think everybody thinks it's, and the executive actions are much different than orders. So I heard people going, well, he's getting rid of, birthright citizenship. It's not that simple, people. That's in the Constitution. That takes an amendment. That isn't going to happen that fast. But it doesn't mean that some of his stuff isn't going to rock and roll rather easily. And we're going to get deeper into the 5 things he needs to do because, as I was explaining to Chris and Brian and I talked about yesterday, it's your time now. And so the one thing about being a politician, and several of my friends who are politicians from Arizona to California and elsewhere will tell you, being on the defense is tougher than being offense. Knowing that you're in a safe district, you're going to raise a ton of money. You can raise your profile by screaming and yelling all the time, knowing there is zero accountability to anything because you don't control anything. For them, they'll go, honestly, that's a good thing to be. If you're looking at it from a professional side. Now, remember, we're not that. You and I are not that. We're the people. You're supposed to work for us. But they're being honest, which is a rarity in this business. So now the hardest part comes, which is you have to get down and do business and face the fact that not everything's going to go perfect. And that's the other side of it. You got to temper everything with, hey, some of the stuff is going to take a while. That's why Milei, as we talked about yesterday, has gotten a lot of grace in Argentina. Because people knew that he was working for something bigger. And it's not an overnight thing. And it's the same thing here. But we're a very fickle bunch of people. And we see that all the time. Even when things are going good, we're not above switching out the jockey in the middle of the race. And we know that. And that's why you have to come out and hit it hard. You have to come out and handle the business. And you've got to put yourself in a situation where, hey, you're sticking with me, you're giving me and the Republicans the power to continue to do what we're doing, we're going to win. If you change up, it could get ugly. And you don't want that. And he signed a lot of stuff yesterday. Not everything is going to walk through. Some of it will. Some of it won't. Hey, Mason, throw my little soundy sound.
It's going to take, frankly, some time to unpack it all and a lot of work by lawyers and judges. And I think he understands the Supreme Court at the end of the day can only take a handful of these. So if the challenges wind up in very conservative circuits, it might be the law of the land, even if it conflicts with the Constitution or federal statutes.
And that's going to be interesting. That's what you call essentially judge picking, which is you're going to want to go find the judges that are more than likely going to side with you based on how they view the Constitution. Not because they're your pal, which is what everybody thinks in today's world, but because they look at the law as a, you've got the ones who look at the Constitution as living, breathing things. It can change. It's all of this. And you have the other people who look at it, right, originalists, who look at this thing as constitutional conservatives, that it is written, and as it is written, this is how we follow it. So he put out a lot yesterday. Some of it is going to be challenged. Some of it was a suggestion because there were actions, not orders. Those are different. Orders, you get to business. Actions, kind of a suggestion.
Donald Trump understands it actually worked to his benefit that it takes a long time for this stuff to get through the courts. And in the interim, he's going to be able potentially to have unconstitutional or illegal policies. The Constitution is very clear about birthright citizenship. There's very little ambiguity there. He also converted an internal White House agency to that DOGE agency. Can't do that without an act of Congress. But if he puts Elon Musk in place and he starts doing his work, who's going to really stop him?
Well, the courts will eventually stop him. But the thing is, you get a jump start on stuff. And that's kind of how you address this. You get a jump start until they tell you no. You know that all of them in every blue city and state across the country is lined up. California was burning last week. What do you think they were doing? Were they setting aside money to help the people? No. They were putting $50 million aside to go out and to get ready and brace themselves for what is coming, and that is Donald Trump. And because of that, you're going to have plenty of these things. And so what they're going to do in California is they'll sue him for whatever thing. They'll take up the 13th Amendment. They're going to go and they'll pick the court, and it'll go to that court, and that court is going to be the Fifth Circuit, which is very liberal or whatever. And boom, that'll be done, and we move on with ourselves because it's going to be challenged, and some of these things will get up to the top, but not everything. Think about how many cases happen every year and how many cases are where they go after the Supreme Court. Like, we got to get to the Supreme Court. We got to get to the Supreme Court. They just don't. They're not going to in every one of these. So it's going to be interesting. But Trump is there. He's ready to rock and roll. He's got some interesting stuff. The border, obviously, is, to me, the easiest of the things that he can do because it was already in place. Biden undid it. Trump went and flipped the script again, and away you go. It's already been challenged, already been played out in the courts. And if you're looking across the way, the fact that the app is gone now, people are freaking out because they realize it's too late. It is too late now. That train has left the building. Now, it's too late for you to get in here legally people say, well, it's illegal. Yes, but applying for the asylum and getting in here under some protection. That's too late. That ship has sailed. But illegally? Of course. Of course they're going to. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I think everybody here, Mason, everybody here, if you traveled 2,000 miles by foot, you've crossed some of the most hellish terrain through heat, nasty weather with rain. You get to here, the app not being up and running isn't going to stop you from crossing. I mean, there's no way, right? I'm not an idiot, but come on now. Everybody would do it. Mason do it in a heartbeat.
I'd be sprinting.
Yeah.
I'd run faster than I've ever run before.
What is that thing when they do the was it the Dragon Ball Z run?
Oh,
Naruto?
Oh, the Naruto run? Yeah.
So is that what you
do?
do?
The arms flailing back.
So, we're not idiots. We're not. But this is all the beginning. And that's why I said earlier, the pomp, the circumstance, that stuff, It is what it is. Some people have fun with it. The name calling and stuff. Some of it's fun. People say, "What'd you do last night?" I watched the football game. I watched a little bit of this stuff, but I watched the football game. My daughter, we were playing. We're having fun. I care about actions. What does it look like next Monday? The Monday after that? Where are we going from there? Because I know how the left is going to react, and I know a lot of people on the right and the MAGA people are going to react. I care about what does it really look like? How does it play itself out? What are the chances of this thing actually staying the course, being challenged, and losing in court? Because those are the things that matter. And Trump, he went out there and he did a lot of stuff. He did a lot of stuff yesterday because he knows he's going to have to throw a lot of stuff against the wall. And he has work to do. It's not as simple as I think some people think it's going to be. Because I was talking to somebody yesterday who has a show, is a friend of mine, and he thinks it's a snap of the fingers. Oh, this is over. I said, dude, he's not a wizard. He's not. He's not a wizard. He's none of those things. He's a human being that has great ideas and thinks he's going to be able to implement a lot of these things. But there's going to be other human beings who think his ideas are bad, and they're going to fight it. And that's what our politics has always been. It's just gotten a little dirtier, a little nastier in the last several years. Watched that football game last night. I just want to say, Ohio State. I predicted 34-18. I think it was 34-23. It was a hell of a game. And I was laughing, and I even tweeted it out about Ohio State, because they lose to Michigan. 4 years in a row, Ryan Day's lost to Michigan. Nobody cares that you won the national championship. If you go 1-10, but you beat Michigan, people are like, yeah, that's awesome. If you go 14-2 and you win a national championship, but you lost to Michigan, it's all anybody's thinking about. I mean, it's crazy. You like football, Mason? You look like a football character. We don't have Bell today. He quit because his tooth fell out. He'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, he's crying. He's crying at home. I like football. I've gotten out of my football swing over the past couple of years just because I used to be a headstrong Titans fan.
Oh.
And then I've been hit with a bat repeatedly over the past couple seasons, essentially. And so
really?
It's been,
so is it? Well,
we haven't been doing well.
I grew up in Southern California, right? You guys know that, and I moved a lot, but we had the Rams, and I loved the Rams. And I didn't live too far away from Anaheim Stadium, the Big A and stuff. We had the Rams. Then they left, and they broke my heart, and I never cared for the Raiders. They went to St. Louis, and they came back to L.A., and it took a year or two to forgive them because I had to go find a new team. And I go, okay, I'm going to pick a team based solely on stupid uniforms. And at the time, the Rams, after they had left, the Patriots still had their old awesome uniform with Paul Revere hiking the football.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my team. And then they got good. And I'm like, this is no fun.
This is boring. Yeah, it's not boring. Rooting for an underdog kind of thing.
But the Rams. And I want to like the Titans, but
it's like my dad. My dad roots for the Rams as well, because he's from California as well. So that's his go-to secondary team.
Yeah.
If Titans are not doing great, he's like, I guess I'll root for the Rams right now.
I want to like the Titans, but we'll see what they look like. The struggle is real.
I got hooked when McNair was on the team, and then now we're here, and we lost our coach. We're not doing great right now.
No.
Fingers crossed the draft does us better.
We'll see. A lot of stuff to get to today, including woolly mammoths. That's right, kids. Somebody has never seen a movie ever. We're going to talk about it because you know what? We can only talk about so much politics. We got to talk about real stuff. Some idiots are like, we should probably bring back the woolly mammoth, which I think, quite frankly, is a bad idea. But we're going to try it. And as bad as it is, I'll probably go see it if they bring it back. Bunch of other stuff to get to. If you're missing the show, make sure you grab the podcast. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. I want you to text Benson to 989898. We know what inflation's doing. We can see, look, not quite sure if we're in a bubble or not. But just in case things go south, you want to be able to protect your retirement and to be able to have something tangible, especially with the dollar being weakened. And that's where gold comes in. Birch Gold, when you text 989898 and you type in Benson, you send it off to them, they're going to send you out the ultimate guide to gold in the Trump era. On top of that, that forward's done by Don Jr. They're going to get you an investor kit, let you take a look at all the stuff that they do. They are not this, group that's going to call you 40 times a day. It's not a high-pressure thing. They want you to understand you can move your IRA over there, your 401k. They've got all this stuff. There's no penalties. But just to get you a sense of what gold is about. So text the word Benson today to 989898. Get the ultimate guide to gold in the Trump era, a forward by Don Jr., as well as an investor kit. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time to go through. That is Benson to 989898. Birch Gold for a lasting peace of mind. Again, text Benson to 989898 today.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
"18 states led by New Jersey lining up to fight one of President Trump's executive orders. We'll tell you about it at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's the Birthright citizenship, I bet.
That'd be a good bet, Brother Chris.
I'm Chad. Thank you very much.
Chad.
You came out and had like a 10-minute conversation with me about our teeth.
I'm writing up Chris hand audio, man. I've got hand on the brain.
Oh, my Lord. Birthright citizenship. You're going to have to get a constitutional convention. You're not going to get rid of it. It isn't going to happen. It's pretty entrenched in there. I think people should understand that, because I think a lot of people think, it's going away. It's not. It's not. And again, let's be real. Let's be real why the whole thing came about with birthright citizenship. Just throw that out there for a second. Like, oh, yeah, forgot about that. This isn't somebody who was on a vacation, had a kid. These are people that are coming here specifically. I mean, at least once a year, there's some sort of big bus somewhere, usually in Southern California or Northern California, sometimes in New York, where they have people that are coming here on as birth tourists. They're not coming here. They've got a hospital or a big, usually it's like an Airbnb type thing where they've got it set up. They've got doctors, they've got nurses, people pay, and usually China, they pay big money. They come over here, they have babies because the passport is so powerful. And then you've got an American citizen, which means the opportunity for you potentially to come here is great. So, but this is going to be one of those fights because I see so many people texting and whatnot. No, it's just, that is a tough one that is going to overcome because of the fact that the thought of getting together, a constitutional convention. When's the last time we even had one? Does anybody remember? Can you look that up for me, Mason? When's the last time we even had us getting together? We're going to change the Constitution. How? I mean, no offense, but half these people can't even decide what to have for lunch, let alone getting together to do anything like this. Let's change the Constitution. We'll do it tomorrow. It'll be easy. The beauty of our country is we've got 3 co-equal branches of government, although I will admit, the legislative branch has at times given up a lot of their power. And that's a them problem. And then they get mad when the president decides to do something. But you gave up your power. And it's not just because of the president either. You don't want to make decisions. And on top of that, you've decided to give some of your power to agencies to allow them to essentially just make laws and enforce them, which is not what you do because that's not your job. But birthright citizenship, that's going to be, of all the stuff I've seen so far, that's going to be the toughest one. Did you find out, Mason?
Yeah, so the last constitutional convention was held in 1787.
Right. Last time we've had a couple amendments, but to change some of this stuff to
an actual full-on constitutional convention has not been held since that year.
Yeah. And then to even do any kind of amendment to the Constitution is going to, it's again, everything is you can add amendments, you can do certain things, but it's so tough to do.
Yeah, and it can't just be one person tries to sign off on it and it's done.
No.
There's a reason we have 3 parts of government.
That's right. Co-equal branches of government.
Exactly.
And I don't think people realize that. And some people get mad but that's what we want. That's what our founding fathers are like. All right, what can we put together that in the future it's going to be tough for these idiots to screw up? And they're like, we got a great idea. We're going to have 3 of these, right? Judicial, legislative, and executive. All of them will be equal. But you can have, you can have as many Supreme Court justices as you want. And then you've got, of course, the House and the Senate. And then you've got just a 1 over here, the executive. That's the power he has. But every president's always said it. I don't have the power that people think I do. Because you're not a wizard. You're not a dictator. You're not a king. And we want it that way. But you should be leading and selling everything to the point where people want it. But it's much tougher in today's world. No doubt about that. Coming up, let's look at the 5 things that Trump's got to do. Absolute must to get himself in a position to make sure that when the midterms roll around, he got nothing to worry about. Neither does the Republicans. Talk about that, bunch of other stuff straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
$12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We may get above freezing by tomorrow. Fingers crossed. But boy, that winter storm is going to pound the deep south. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. 18 states are suing to block President Trump's executive action to end birthright citizenship. Leading the way is New Jersey, where Attorney General Matt Platkin says the order aims to rewrite the Constitution.
The executive order renders many children born on American soil without citizenship, creating for the first time a class of American-born children whose health and well-being are threatened by their own government.
On the subject of immigration, Tennessee's 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett telling WTN's Chris Hand he's not sure the weather is the real reason the inauguration was moved indoors yesterday.
You got to realize 14 million people came into this country illegally.
Yep.
And there is some people here from the Middle East. I've been warned myself because of my bill about defunding the Taliban of just what's going on, and people ought to be frightened. They ought to be incredibly frightened, and our national media ought to be ashamed.
Burchett claims billions of U.S. dollars in aid to Afghanistan ends up going to the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan Central Bank. As the transfer of power between the Biden and Trump administrations took place, a prisoner swap between the U.S. and the Taliban did too. The Taliban's foreign ministry revealing it secured the release of an Afghan jihadist and drug trafficker serving a life sentence in exchange for freeing 2 U.S. nationals. Right now in Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass says while firefighters are making progress on the wildfires, another threat is emerging: rain.
The action plan I have directed our city public works bureaus to implement includes the installation of barriers, debris removal, and diverting runoff from our stormwater system and into our sewer system where it can be treated.
The Palisades fire now 61% contained with more than 6,200 structures destroyed. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Cold, nasty out there. Some of you probably still have issues with your foundation. You've got cracks in your basement. Some snow melted, went certain areas. You don't want to know about it. Maybe you think it's no big deal. Don't let mold, wood rot, mess everything up. How many times in life have you let something tiny become something big? Don't do it. United Structural Systems, I want you to call them today if you've got any issues whatsoever. 615-488-7855. It is that simple and easy. They've been around for 30 plus years and going strong. And they've got 30,000 happy customers. And what's that mean? That means they're here. So the fly-by-night guy who comes and does something cheap and then something goes wrong, you're now doing it twice, and it's costing you more than just twice. With USS, they're going to take care of you from top to bottom. They're going to charge you anything when they come out, absolutely free inspection, and they're not going to sell you anything unnecessary. Don't let a little thing become a big thing. Call them today, 615-488-7855. Check them out online at ussTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
A lot of you chiming in on the text line. Love it when you do that. Try to reach out to everybody. No Bell today. His head fell completely off. They're reattaching it. He had some teeth issues, from what I understand. Wish him all the best. Got Mason in here. Ken, somebody from the band died? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, the last surviving member, Brother Chad. And I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. Rats.
Oh, my God.
Come on. Here we go. Oh, Garth Hudson.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the last surviving member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, the band. He apparently came up with this. That's the Lowry organ, prominent in such classics as Chest Fever.
It's my favorite one.
Chest Fever. From the band's
Chest Fever.
Yeah, that's from the album Music from the Big Pink.
I was never a big band fan.
I can't say that I'm not a fan, or just, when I hear their songs, and I thought they were good, but I wouldn't go out and buy their stuff.
No. Well,
I also feel like I have to be in the mood to listen to them.
It feels like psychedelics help with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Feels like being maybe helps along with that. We're just putting that out there. We're not saying it. You go and do that. Drugs are bad. Okay, if you could listen to the show, I'm a teetotaler.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find yourself in that situation,
yeah, that's one of those ones. You take drugs because you're like, this is going to be awful unless I'm out of it. You know what they reminded me of? You guys are like the Doors, but not as cool.
Right.
Like the Doors
Just
were rock and roll.
Yeah. The Doors had a poet who had a great voice when he kind of sang red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jim could sing, but he did a lot of reading, too, or just a lot of talking.
Yeah.
But he was good at it.
He was great at it.
And he had great musicians behind
And he was, you know what? He understood what it was to be a rock star.
Yes.
He played the sex appeal.
Exactly.
Which is what I would do if I could sing and or had sex appeal, but I don't. I'm a vest guy now. We talked about that yesterday, so just deal with it, people. Donald Trump. Got to do some stuff. That is the reality of it. We've been talking about it earlier. We're talking about all the executive actions. By the way, a lot of you chiming in saying you can't get rid of birthright citizenship because once you start, 92 was the last time we changed anything, but once you start playing around in the Constitution, it opens everything up, and we don't want that. We don't want that. It's great to raise awareness, and I think a lot of what Trump does is just like with Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott, because I'm on in Dallas for my other show, and we have access to him and stuff. And I will tell you this. His people, several of them I've talked to, they didn't think the shipping the people was going to go as well as it did. It was raising awareness that became something. And it's good to raise awareness to certain things about how the system here essentially is broken. You can just come across the border and have a baby, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, God. But that's who we are. But Trump has a lot of things he's got to deal with. And let's start with those things, shall we? 5 of them, actually.
Now it's time to count down Donald Trump's top 5 priorities. Number 5, drain the swamp.
So to drain the swamp, you got to do a lot of things. But it's not the politicians. They're not going anywhere, right? You're never getting rid of anacondas and crocodiles. That just isn't going to happen. What you do need to get rid of is as much bureaucracy as possible.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Little things like that are huge. The bureaucracy is the swamp of swamps right now. It is the quicksand. God, you guys remember quicksand? You probably don't, Mason. I know that Ken remembers quicksand.
Oh, I know quicksand. It was a big fear growing up in like any animated cartoon.
Quicksand. I think it was who was the comic Mulrooney or whatever said. As a kid growing up, I thought quicksand was going to have a much bigger impact on my life because you couldn't watch something without somebody falling into quicksand.
Well, absolutely not. I feel like it appeared in like Scooby-Doo all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, man. I mean, they would just be walking along, and all of a sudden somebody would fall underneath water that was actually just like a couple of inches above the quicksand.
Yeah. And that is what the bureaucracy is. It is of the swamp. It is the quicksand. It is the mud you get stuck in. It is the nightmare of nightmares. And that's what you have to fight against because government lobbies itself harder than anything else. This is something Trump absolutely is taking on with the Doge.
Number 4.
Debt and deficit. Massive. We've got a huge debt. It's becoming a security issue. We are looking around there. How much more can we cut, right? The Doge sounds great. The problem is at some point in time, you're going to have to make serious decisions. Austerity. Are we going to have to raise taxes? Because we're at the point now where we're running out of kids that are going to pay for the stuff that we're running up on their credit card that they don't even know about. They're not even thought about. My daughter's 6. Her kids' are going to have to pay for the stuff at the rate we're going.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before.
I hope so. It's going to be tough, but I like it. And again, cutting is a big deal. And at some point in time, are we going to have to look at taxes? You don't want to, but you've also got to realize that austerity might have to come, and people never want to lose theirs. That's the swamp that you're fighting, are the people that never want to give up their side of something. They never want to give up their money in any way, shape, or form. Count down the 5 things Trump must do, absolute must do, when it comes to being able to strengthen his position and make sure that in doing these things and these things getting done, that you still have the House and the Senate. Because without the House and the Senate, if you lose one, it's going to be tough. If you lose both, you've got 2 years that is going to be a nightmare.
Number 3.
Foreign wars. We got to end them. He came out today and he was very honest. He said, look, the Middle East, he doubts it. I think a lot of people doubt that anything is going to get done in the Middle East long term because you're dealing with, as we talked about the other day, Hamas is a business and they've restructured because there's money is dried up. They're running out of people. They've lost 40 or 50,000 people. Everything's destroyed. People, this is a restructuring of your business in Chapter 13. And at some point in time during the phases, you're going to come back. On the other side of it, though, and he recognized how tough that's going to be, you have Ukraine and Russia. And that battle is big, and as bad as everything's been with Middle East, and it's been bad, the numbers are insane when it comes to Ukraine and Russia.
I think it'd be very well off to end that war. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger. They have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
No, it's not. It's not any way to run a country. And Putin wants a path. He wants an off-ramp. Sun Tzu, the great warrior, great general, said, never surround your opponent on 4 sides, your enemy. You want to give them an off-ramp. They're fighting now in essentially till the music stops, where everybody finds out, okay, whatever you got, you got. And that's kind of what they're doing right now at this point in time. And it's going to come sooner rather than later. And this will get done. And we will promise that nothing will happen. What Russia has now and what they end up with is what they get. They're not going to encroach anymore. And if they encroach anymore, it has nothing to do with NATO. You're going to have to answer to us. And at the same time, we're going to promise him, hey, there is no NATO coming over here to Ukraine. There's none of that happening. Counting down the 5 things Trump must do.
Number 2.
Immigration. Immigration, shouldn't that be the thing? No, And I'll tell you why. It's the easiest of all the things. Absolutely the easiest. He had everything in place, his remain in Mexico, all of that stuff. Then it was undone. He has now put it back in place. It has already withstood challenges in courts. It is already happening. The app is gone. I mean, this is going the way that we expected it to go. Right? They can start building some of the fence. All of that stuff is happening. Of all of the quote-unquote low-hanging fruit and the obvious, this is the easiest.
We will reinstate my remain in Mexico policy. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil.
Absolutely. Easiest one to do of all of the things. Because these 5 things are important. People... for some of you out there, the January 6th, or it was this, or it was that. But think about the vast majority of people aren't hardcore into politics. Politics is in the periphery of their world. They pay attention once in a while during a midterm, but they'll pay attention every 4 years for sure, kind of like the Olympics, right? Nobody watches gymnastics until it's Olympic time. When's the last time you're like, man, I got to go see that swimming? Never. Hell, the most famous swimmer we have outside of Michael Phelps is Riley Gaines. And it's only because she had to swim against a chick with a wiener. I don't think you could say that. I just did. So these things are the big things. But this is number one. And number one, it trumps everything, literally.
Number 1, the economy.
It's the economy, stupid. We were talking earlier about college football. You can win the national championship for Ohio State, but because you lost to Michigan, something missing. You could go win 4 games, lose 9, beat Michigan if you're Ohio State, and it's a win. It's one of those things that it trumps everything because it is the one thing that everybody, left, right, gay, straight, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, Christian, Jew, whatever, we all participate in it. And that's why it's the biggest thing. If inflation continues to slow down, wages go up, people are living better with more money in their pocket, and you don't get the rest of this stuff done perfectly, people are fine with that. If you get all the other stuff done really well, but the economy takes a dump, people remember that more than anything else. James Carville said it best. It is the economy, stupid. Period. A lot of stuff still to get to. Happy Tuesday. We're talking about weight loss. Man, those weight loss drugs are amazing. Like every time you turn around, it's like, all right, you remember like how it helped you lose weight? You're like, yeah. Well, now it's going to make you taller. You're like, get out of town. Yeah, not as tall as Barron Trump. He's 6'11", right? Is that what he is? 6'11", 6'10"?
6'9".
6'9". What is he, 12?
I think he's in high school. Let me check.
Yeah, I think he's in high school too. He got the biggest cheers last night. I thought that was spectacular. He got huge cheers, and he was a big proponent of the tick and the talk, if you will. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. A bunch of other stuff, including some wacky, and I do mean wacky, climate change stuff. Is he in high school?
According to the old Googles, he is 18 years old at 6'7". I don't think that's right.
No, he's taller than that.
Yeah, he's 6'9".
I saw there was a great meme last night. Maybe I'll post it on at Chad Benson Show. Check it out at the Twitter. But it shows them getting out of the car, and it shows him getting out of the car. But somebody had made him like 15 feet tall because that's what he looks like. It's not making fun of him as a person, but it is making fun of the fact that he's ginormous. He is huge.
Yeah, he's 18 years old, and 6'9" is wild.
Really into the politics too. He's super into, like...
He's invested.
He is, like, his brothers are invested because it's part of what they are in the family, but he's invested in politics.
Yeah.
Which is, I find to be fascinating as well. Bunch of that stuff to get to as well. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. By the way, Barron's in college. He's at NYU. Everybody's telling me. We appreciate that. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Use code CHAD, and you're going to get a free bag of Rough Greens, $20 value. You're like, what is this stuff? It is a powder supplement like you and I would take, right? For our bones or, energy or creatine or all that kind of stuff. But this is for your dogs and your cats. So you got Meow Greens and Rough Greens. Take 1 scoop, sprinkle it on top of it. Make sure the bag tightened. Absolutely, because it's got enzymes and stuff and it's living. You don't want those things to go bad. What that does is it brings your dog and cat's food to life. It makes it healthier, brings out the nutrients, and it adds to it. It's going to help your dogs and your cats with their aches and their pains and their joints. It's going to help them big time with their skin, their fur, if they got maybe some energy issues, it's going to help them with their teeth, their gums, their digestive tract. It's awesome. If you're like me and you love your animals and you want to try a bag of this, they're going to send it to you for free. A $20 value. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com. Use my code CHAD. You cover the cost of shipping. They get it to you free. ruffgreens.com. Use code CHAD.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection releasing a few details about an incident that left an agent dead. We'll tell you about it at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
By the way, Ken, people are mad at us because we said stuff about the band.
Uh-oh. We didn't say anything bad about the band.
Well, you didn't. I did.
Oh, you did.
What's the name of the band? What was their big album?
Their big album?
The Last Waltz.
Was that the big one?
Yeah, I think that was the one that was the most famous one.
Let's see here.
The band.
The band's best album.
The Last Waltz won 95 Grammys.
95 grand.
By the way, a lot of people chiming in about quicksand. Because if you're my age and you're Ken's age and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Quicksand, I mean, I don't know how many times $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman had saved somebody from quicksand. In the middle of, Encino.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised Wonder Woman didn't ever rescue somebody from, Linda Carter never rescued anybody from quicksand. She would just always lift the back end of a car.
Well, yeah, I know. It got old, didn't it?
Yeah. That's all they would ever show her do. Every now and then, using her bracelets to, block bullets.
Yeah. Wonder Woman. That is interesting. The whole, because I remember, because we were talking about quicksand earlier, that's what I think. Real bureaucracy is the swamp, and the swamp is full of mud and quicksand. And we got onto quicksand because the reality is quicksand is, as a kid growing up, I thought there was going to be quicksand everywhere.
Me too.
I was terrified.
I was scared to death.
As a kid, I'm like, I can't go in there. And it's like, dude, it's our playground. I could get quicksand. We could all die. And yet I've looked on numerous occasions. I don't think anybody's ever died from quicksand.
The only place I think that it might be is on 24, where all accidents happen.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, it was always in the Westerns.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like Bonanza. I think Haas had to rescue a couple of people out of quicksand on Bonanza.
Yeah, I think Matt Dillon as well.
Oh, yes.
By the way, if you guys are new to the show, I'm new here. Thank you for listening. Gunsmoke, my favorite show of all time.
Whew, that was a good one.
Not even close. It is my absolute favorite show. It is the greatest show ever. I've got autograph Matt, James Arnett stuff. It is awesome.
I've been digging Have Gun Will Travel.
I love that show.
Yeah, Richard Boone.
Richard Boone. Phenomenal, baby. Pat Masterson, too.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if you're missing the show, we say shame on you. Grab the podcast. A lot of stuff coming up next hour, including some Trump derangement syndrome. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And we may get above the freezing mark tomorrow here in Middle Tennessee. Fingers crossed. Now, it's snowing in the deep south. Places like Houston, Texas, and New Orleans. Some of these places are going to get more snow and ice than they've seen in 60 years. You might want to check with your airline if you have a flight to catch today, because there have been thousands of delays or cancellations, mainly because of what's happening to the airports there in Houston, Texas, with all that winter precipitation. Full forecast in 5 minutes. 18 states led by New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin filing a lawsuit against President Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship.
It's an assault on the very text of the Constitution, a right that our nation made sure to codify in the 14th Amendment in the aftermath of the Dred Scott decision, one of the worst decisions the Supreme Court has ever issued, and following a civil war.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection releasing a few details about an incident that left an agent dead.
It happened Monday afternoon near Coventry, Vermont, about 20 miles from the U.S.-Canadian border.
Newport ambulance respond to Interstate 91 southbound for an active police incident.
The audio from Broadcastify, Customs and Border Protection, says one of its agents and a second person were shot to death, that a third person was injured and is in custody. The FBI is helping with the investigation.
Jim Ryan reporting there. WTN's Chris Hand asked Tennessee 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett if he's going to run for governor.
Is there any consideration there?
Hey, I'm sorry. I just ran under a tunnel. I lost your signal. No. Yeah, I'm honored. It's still early yet, brother. It's early. I'm a congressman, and I don't want to be. I don't want to overshadow anything I'm doing right now. And
Burchett's been tapped as a member of the Department of Energy Efficiency to make recommendations, or Department of Government Efficiency, I should say, to make recommendations on where to cut wasteful taxpayer spending to President Trump. Now, Burchett says Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn would make a good governor. And right now in California, a new threat emerging as firefighters make progress on the deadly wildfires in Los Angeles. Rain. Here's Mayor Karen Bass.
We have to prepare for a potential change in weather with the possibility of rain this weekend. So today I'm issuing an executive order to shore up burn areas and stem the flow of toxic debris in the event of rain this weekend.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Prize Picks. Download the app now. Use my code Chad. You're going to get 50 free bucks the minute you play your first lineup. Now you're saying, Chad, what's Prize Picks? It's fantasy. And it's simple. It is, you pick a lineup, meaning you're not picking teams, you're picking players. It's fantasy. So think about this for a second. This weekend, will Patrick Mahomes throw over 1.5 touchdowns or under 1.5 touchdowns? That's it. That's simple. Then go over there and say, Josh Allen, will he run for over half a touchdown or will he not score a touchdown? It's that simple. And you play your first $5 and boom, you get 50 free bucks. And you can win up to 1,000 times your money. New MasterCard right now, they can put it right in your account. It is so simple and easy, and it is fun to use. Tons of different ways you can play during the day as well. They got all kinds of bonuses. Check it out. Download it. I play it all the time. It is Prize Picks. Nobody does it better. The minute you play your first $5, they're going to give you 50 bonus dollars. But make sure when you download the app, use my code Chad to get 50 bonus bucks when you play your first lineup. Prize Picks. Run your race. My God, look at him freak out over January 6th. I said it last hour, I'll say it again. I don't hold any punches when it comes to what I believe. I think most of those people should never even come close to jail. I don't think they should have. But I do think there were people in there that wanted to do things, that had things in their mind, and they were idiots. They fought cops. They went places they shouldn't have. They broke things. And for that, they should have paid a price. But Nancy, wandering through the halls, going, let's take a picture of that, is not that person. And I think we recognize that, as we should. But for a lot of people in the media, it's the worst thing ever. How dare he do this? This has destroyed everything. Blah, 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 blah. It's such baloney, and it's all about freaking people out. Well, he can do anything he wants now. First of all, he's not a god. We recognize that. Secondly, it's just a pardon. Some got clemency. Some got essentially, hey, you're still guilty of some of this stuff, but you're going to get out. The Oath Keepers, I wasn't a fan of. The Proud Boys, I think some of them went a little too far. I think we recognize that. But there's a lot more to it. But I spoke to Buffalo Head on several occasions. That's what I call him. The QAnon shaman. And I had him on my show on several occasions, Jacob Chansley. And he had a lot of issues. And he said, look, I shouldn't have been there. He wasn't there violent, malicious, but he was in places he shouldn't have been. And he recognized that. And he's gone back and forth on a lot of different things. And depending on the time of day, I don't think he's all there. He, was like, oh, we were doing it for this, and I was only there for that. It was all peaceful. And yeah, some of it was. But you also weren't supposed to be there. Especially in the places you were in. If you're from, I said yesterday, Oshkosh Bagosh, and you went there, and you were wandering around, you didn't break anything, they got you, okay, you know what? No, you should got a fine, they should have sent you home, and that would have been that. And I think most people are fine with that. And yes, sometimes in life, you know what they do? They send a message. They send a message. Don't do this again. But it's also one of those things where you overdo it. And I think a lot of that was this. And so, no, I don't think most of these people's lives should have been destroyed. At all. At the same time, some of these people did stuff they shouldn't have done. They were places they weren't. They fought cops. And in any other situation, some of you were cheering, oh, they were the prisoners of politics. And in any other situation, you'd be like, you should never hit a cop. That being said, it's over, it's done with. The left will freak out about it. But it's hard as the president yesterday, the former president, walks out, pardons his family. Like, I'll pardon my sister-in-law. Like, what do you need to pardon her for? I'm going to pardon this person and that person, my cousin, my uncle, whoever it is. Why? Well, you've gone and done so much that it's hard for them to justify Trump pardoning anybody. But they do. No doubt about that. They absolutely want some sort of, hey, he's got to justify why he did these things. Come on.
Were these people punished? Yes. Were they ruined financially? Yes. Did they spend time in jail? Yes. Have their lives been ruined? Absolutely. One of you said earlier that you think this sends a terrible signal that you can get away with things like this, as though we've never had a moment in recent American history when people were not punished for rampaging around when they shouldn't have been. It was the summer of 2020. Actually, punished those people were never even charged.
Amen. That being said, as I was telling somebody yesterday, when you're getting on your moral high horse, then you put a soapbox on top of it, then you climb onto Moral Mountain, and you want to tell somebody that they've got a speck in their eye and you've got a log, maybe take a step back. Ugh. Yeah, maybe. Trump, getting ready for the battle. It's already begun, people. It's already begun. Just over 24 hours into his presidency, signed a bunch of stuff last night. His hand has to hurt. He signed so much stuff. Here comes the court cases.
On day 2 of President Trump's second term, states from Massachusetts to California are suing over the executive order to block birthright citizenship, calling it extreme and a clear violation of the 14th Amendment. California Attorney General Rob Bonta says, yes, President Trump is fulfilling a campaign promise, but
today I'm also following through on a promise to take action if Trump violates the law.
The attorneys general are asking a court to immediately block the executive order.
Of course they are. Rob Bonta's an idiot, by the way. So here we go. So you got 18 states already. These are states, like I said, with California on fire. They get together to go, let's put $50 million into a pot. They're like, oh, to help the people's houses burn down? No. So we can sue Trump. Because he's going to do things we don't like. He's going to come and do things we don't like. So here we go. The AG from New Jersey.
When we talk about immigrant communities, when we talk about who these people are, we need to remember that they are all of us. They're not some people far away who we can demonize. They are all of us. They are who we are as a nation.
No, they're not. They're not that. They're people who've come here from far away because economic opportunity is here. The same thing that you and I and everybody else would do if we were starving. We had a family. We had nothing else and no choice in a country that was awful and falling apart. We would make the effort to go somewhere where we could feed our family and have a better life for ourselves, but for our kids in the future. But they're not us. Stop saying that. Like they're just like, no, they're not. They're not. They're from a different country. They've come here illegally. We would do the same thing. We recognize that, but we have laws. Because without laws, what are we then? Well, we're nothing. And the difference between the last guy and the new sheriff is going to enforce those laws. New sheriff has said, hey, we want an open door. Absolutely. But you're going to have to come here in a way that is legal. Oh, we don't want that. The left loves it because what they have in the future is indentured servants. That's what they think. And by that, I mean voters. People will always look to him as, you're my hero.
The reason why you put something in the Constitution, the reason why we talk about rule of law, this is not an abstract concept. It's so that a president, Congress, the majority cannot simply change a right on a whim. This is a right that was codified in one of the most important amendments ever codified in our nation's nearly 2.5 century history.
And as we talked about last hour, the chances of having a constitutional convention, and if I'm right, Mason, was it 1762 or something like that? The last time there was a constitutional convention, and even changing the Constitution was 1992, by the way. So it's been a while. So I don't think this thing's going anywhere.
They are not kings. They do not have the power to unilaterally rewrite the Constitution. They do not have the power to unilaterally disregard our laws. That's true for Donald Trump. That's true for every president that came before him and every president who will come after him.
And every president is going to test this, right? Every president will test something and the power they have because, well, if you have a chance, you're going to be, as the great Dave Chappelle said, a habitual line stepper. Let's just see what I can do. But the thought of doing this sounds great in some ways, but to get it done, you're going to then mess with the Constitution. And when you start messing with the Constitution, you start to realize, oh, wait, if they can mess with the Constitution, if we can do something with the Constitution, can't they do something with the Constitution? Then you start looking around and going, what about the First Amendment? What about the Second Amendment? What about this? What about... That's the issue.
The executive order renders many children born on American soil without citizenship, creating for the first time a class of American-born children whose health and well-being are threatened by their own government.
I want you to listen to that again. So this is the AG of New Jersey. Just, again, everything is hair on fire.
The executive order renders many children born on American soil without citizenship, creating for the first time a class of American-born children whose health and well-being are threatened by their own government.
No. I mean, we can look at them, and that's why this thing isn't going to change. So if everybody's getting excited about it, it's not going anywhere. But that being said, just because this doesn't change, we may be the birthplace of that child, but we're not the birthplace of your parents. So there's a conundrum. Oh, yeah. And because we have too many people that come here specifically to give birth. Some of them know, hey, if we get over the border, it's going to be great. Others have traveled here from Russia, from China, and elsewhere because they want the passport and they want the opportunity to have children here. And I'm not talking about people that have come and landed in South America and traveled through. There are people that fly here from China and elsewhere who, yes, are coming as a true tourist on a visa, first class, spending tons of money, somewhat lap of luxury to have a child here. That shouldn't happen, and you coming across shouldn't happen. But if it does, that child is an American citizen. The question is, what do we do with the parents? And that's the real question. Once again, coming at this from a much different angle, okay, well, the kid can stay here. Well, no, we don't want that. But the kid, okay, one of you can stay, and you can't work, and you can never vote. Oh, but when you put stuff out there like that in a much different way, and you frame it in something that allows staying, but at the same time makes it so it's uncomfortable to stay, watch what happens. Keep doing what we're doing. Keep getting the same fights over and over again. It ain't going to work the way we think. A lot of stuff still to get to. We got some Trump derangements. And, man, we got some great Trump derangement. I'm serious. We've got some stuff today. Top drawers, the kids would say. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Oh, my Lord. You know, 47's in. And right now, with 47 in, how about this? Buddy's over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I want to give you a great deal. Oh, yes, an honor 47 present. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression in the big 47 offer of 2025. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, experts. You know, they've studied, they've practiced all over the world. Dr. Ashley, chiropractic experience, fantastic. But clinical excellence and holistic healing, which is what you want. There is no surgery, no creams or any of that stuff. This is the right way for your spine. And if it is too much and they say you need surgery, they'll tell you that. That's what's awesome about them. So right now, you're going to save big. Listen up. 47 in there right now. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression in the big 47 offer. 2025. Do this. Call 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Or go to painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Metro police are charging a man for a double fatal crash in August. It involved a 3-year-old in the back seat, not properly restrained. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, did you see we're going to do it a little bit later. Did you see, Ken, the story of that girl in Germantown, the Lyft or Uber driver?
Yes.
Man, it is crazy out there.
Yes.
If you guys haven't heard, there was a lady who was... Well, she was in an Uber or Lyft, and next thing you know, stuff starts to go a little sideways, right?
Yeah.
She sees, like, what she thinks is some sort of smoke or mist, and she starts to get all, and then it's just, she feels her arms tingling. She jumps out of the car and goes for a run, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
You think you're going to catch that person, right? Like, you know who your Uber driver is or your Lyft driver.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think you do, but the amount of people that are selling their Uber or Lyft accounts to illegal immigrants.
Really?
So that it's a big thing right now, is that people will sell their accounts for large amounts of money and take a profit of what they earn while other people use their accounts just to earn profit if they can't work a normal job.
Wow. So basically what you're telling me, Mason, and all of our listeners is this is a way to have multiple streams of income.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I didn't even
It's a landlord for your car.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's weird. It's wild.
Wonder what you get for it. Do you get like a piece of the money or they pay you up front?
From what I've heard, it's both. So like it's a big
What'd
chunk.
you get for yours?
I've never done this. What are you talking about? No. From what Chris and I talked about, we talked about this a couple of days ago. It was they pay a large amount up front to be able to get access to the account. So they're buying access to the account. And then because the main person isn't driving, they just get a little off the top, essentially.
Okay.
For them being able to have access to their account.
And then the money probably comes to whoever has the account.
Yeah.
And then then you go to that, they come to you and you give them their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's nuts, man. That's crazy.
And Uber and Lyft have said, do not get in the cars of people that it doesn't match the vehicle information on the app or the picture that's given.
Yeah, see,
you're supposed to verify your license for all that stuff.
That's my thought. My thought is, like I did take an Uber the other day because our battery died. And I had a meeting with our buddies over at Beacon, and I went over there, and I like double checked to make sure that was the right car, and I was like, okay. But I'm sure people just jump into stuff.
Oh, yeah, people hop in all the time. But like I've worked in hotels for like 7 years now, and the amount of people that are like I've interacted with be like, hey, if that doesn't look like your driver, you shouldn't get in that car. And they're like, it's fine. And they'll hop in. But the fair few are like, I don't feel safe doing that. I'm like, cool, yeah, get out of that car. It's not worth the risk.
Somebody's all, you're falling for that Lyft story. I saw it on the news. My wife brought it up because it's interesting. When I'm in Arizona, we're there, we need our car all the time because we live in the Valley of Deer people, and we live in sprawl. Here, there's times we don't touch our car for 3 weeks. We walk and go everywhere. We Uber if we really need to do something sometimes because it's just easier. And she brought it up. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm not sure I believe it. And then I saw it on, was it WSMV? And I thought, well, that's a real, I don't know how real it is. Again, the problem with everything is how real is any of this stuff because of not just fake, the what do they call them? Not cheap fakes, deep fakes, but also because it's easy to fake anything and just to cry about it. Like it's just so easy to and just make it up. Now I don't know if it's true.
And people look for that virality moment. It's like, I posted my story about this on TikTok and I got 5.3 million views,
which is all anybody cares about. How many views you got?
Yeah.
How many views you got? Which is. It's a weird, because I saw one today, because it's getting so much better, and I'll have my uncle on the show probably next week. He is a big-time AI nerd along with a bunch of other stuff, but we've been doing AI for years, and, he said, wait till this gets to this, wait till this gets to this, and, and we're able to do a lot of stuff. And it's at the point now where I saw one today, man, with Piers Morgan that looked real, but I knew it was fake.
Yeah.
But it sounded like him. It looked real.
That's so weird.
About Prince Charles divorcing his wife for some fake,
Interesting.
Yeah, but it looked so good and so real.
Yeah, my dad sent me a video of these guys rescuing a penguin out of like a little like plastic wrap around his neck. And I was watching the video, I was like, oh, that's cute. That fish looks a little weird.
Oh.
What's wrong with his foot? Hold on, wait a second.
See,
and the more you watch, it's like, oh wow, we're at this level for AI. Like that penguin looks legitimate. Like that guy looks like a real dude. Like
legitimate.
It's weird.
Did you see the memes coming out after the Kansas City game?
No, I didn't.
Patrick Mahomes lip locked with an umpire, a referee. I mean,
it looks real.
It looked.
You remember,
looked real.
2 years ago, year and a half ago, it was easy because you're like, okay, Patrick doesn't have 9 fingers.
Yeah.
And now that's gone. That's the thing that is improving so much. And one of the things we were looking at last week, I was talking to my uncle about, which is they're able now to render in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can act on a green screen and walk down a hall, and they can render it in real time to be whatever it needs to be. The money it saves is great for the entertainment side. The problem is there are bad people out there who just want likes, clicks, shares.
Yep.
And that's what you have to look out for.
I've seen a lot of people, not a lot of people doing this. I've seen like a meme of it going around where you should wear a prosthetic finger around one of your fingers, so that way every photo taken of you is just automatically assumed that it's AI because, like, well, he's got 6 fingers on one hand. There's no way that's real.
I like that. A lot of people chime in. We'll pick this up on the other side because I find it interesting. We'll do a little Trump derangement syndrome because a lot of you are chiming in about some of your experiences with Lyft and Uber. And again, do I think this lady's lying? The news is covering it, so I don't know if it's a lie or not. But how real was it? Because it sounds a little, like there's mist coming in and this, that, and the other. I don't know. Let us know what you think about it. Bunch of stuff still to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we picked up a crash. This is going to be 24 westbound there at Haywood Lane in Antioch. Also, the on-ramp is partially blocked if you are 40 eastbound, or rather if you're on White Bridge Pike at Briley Parkway trying to get to 40 eastbound. The on-ramp partially blocked there by a crash. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. A fire breaking out at a ski resort in Turkey killed at least 76 people. ABC's Ines de la Cutera has more from the foreign desk.
One witness saying it was like the apocalypse, with the flames immediately engulfing the hotel. Some forced to jump out of windows in the middle of the night. Officials say the fire began around 3:30 a.m. on the restaurant floor of the hotel.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police charging a man for a double fatal crash in August. 45-year-old Delmas Weitzman faces vehicular homicide by recklessness, also child endangerment. Police say Weissman lost control of the Buick sedan he was driving, went over the median on I-40 and hit a motorcyclist. Police say Weissman never tried to regain control of the car and only hit the brakes for 1 second right before the crash. The motorcyclist, 30-year-old Jacob Rea, died at the scene. Weissman's 3-year-old daughter, who was in the back seat of the car but not in a safety seat, died at the hospital. 2 other children survived. Weissman's bond set at $70,000. Cold weather isn't slowing down his first full day of President Trump's second term. Tennessee 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett telling WTN's Chris Hanshow his 2 priorities as part of the Department of Government Efficiency are the Pentagon and education.
And I'm really looking forward to making some cuts, big cuts.
Burchett wants to get rid of the Federal Department of Education and give that money to states, which he says would allow for higher teacher salaries, and some of the savings can be used to pay down the federal deficit. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So if you haven't heard this story, saw it today on the news. My wife brought it up a couple days ago. She brought it up again. And I said, you know what? Oddly enough, I saw this on the news. Because you never know what to believe because it's on the TikTok. And kids, on the TikTok, there's a lot of fake stuff on the TikTok. Do you have TikTok, Mason? You're a youngster. How old are you, 27?
27. Yep, just turned 27 a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God. How did I even know that?
It's crazy.
So, you have TikTok, I take it?
Yes, sir, I do. Do I post? Not at all. But I'll scroll every once in a while.
It's addictive.
Yeah. It's got a good algorithm down.
It is. There's no doubt about that. The question is what's real and what's not real. And this goes back, by the way, to a little sidebar here. Even your beliefs. And I always say this, we don't need too much government regulation. You don't need to protect people from seeing certain things, as far as this story or that story, whatever it is, right? Vaccines will turn you into a magnet or, whatever baloney that people put out there. That's on you, okay? You need to figure that out for you. So I'm looking at you guys in the camera. That's on you. Challenge your beliefs every single day. Don't be afraid, because if your stuff that you believe is strong, it's going to withstand anything. That being said, a lot of people, the difference between disinformation and misinformation. Misinformation is you think it's true, you share it, it's not true, that wasn't your fault. That was your bias and your beliefs, and, I believe that to be true. That's a different thing. Disinformation is you fake it. And there's plenty of that all over. And in the world of politics, I've got news for you. Both sides are full of crap. Both sides only tell their side of the story because they want it to be as rosy as possible. So when I see stories, I always take it with a grain of salt. So my wife, look at this, and I'm like, I don't know, it sounded weird. Then I saw it on the news today, and even so, I'm like, I don't know if it's true or not.
TikTok, with more than 1 million views, has caught the attention of women around Nashville. Our Dryden Quigley is in Germantown, sharing how a college student says she was almost kidnapped by her Lyft driver.
When Mia got into her Lyft in Germantown on Tuesday afternoon, she had no reason to doubt that she'd make it to her destination safely. In her now viral TikTok, Mia says at first she was on the phone with a friend. It was once she hung up that things took a turn.
My driver puts his sweatshirt up over his nose, and in front of the center console, I just see what looks to be some gas being released.
She says she started to feel dizzy and her arms went numb.
I breathe in the slightest amount. I'm not even kidding, like little breath in, immediately felt tingles all through my body. It literally felt like everything just like everything was slowing down, and it felt like I was about to pass out.
Okay. All right. She sounds real. I mean, she's real. The news is interviewing her, so it's a real person. But it goes back to, it's sad that we don't believe people in situations anymore because, well, I didn't see it happen. And so he put his, so wait a minute, he shot some sort of spray that did something to you into the car, as somebody put it, James Bond style. But he was able to put his hoodie over his nose and not get sick. That seems a little suspicious.
She was able to stumble out of the car at a red light and ask a woman for help. Now, Mia and I talked off camera. At first, she says she was hesitant to share her story on TikTok, but says if it helps more women stay alert, then it'll be worth it.
The first initial thought was just terrifying and scary.
Haley Hart, who lives in the area, says tons of people have sent her the TikTok.
I do not take Ubers by myself because of reasons like this.
She says she only drives herself or takes ride shares with friends.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it in other cities, which honestly has still been scary, but it doesn't hit as close to home. But obviously this is definitely a closer hit.
And that's what Mia says the point of sharing her story was, to remind women to have a plan for worst case scenarios.
And we have to be more careful. I never thought this would ever happen to me. I'm very, very thankful that I trusted my gut.
Mia has filed a police report with MNPD and reported the driver to Lyft.
Well, then you should be able to find them. That should be simple. But several people have said, when it comes to Grubhub and several of these other ones, and I don't know, that, hey, people deliver stuff that aren't my driver all the time, but the food shows up. And you guys were talking a couple weeks ago about the fact that people are selling these. Somebody said like a medallion, because in New York and in London, those medallions are super expensive. I mean, they'll cost you $1 million to get a medallion to drive a taxi. So, but here, with Lyft and Uber, I mean, it's a different story. In fact, I've got an actual Uber interview. If you guys want to hear the Uber interview? It's pretty awesome. This is how you get a job at Uber or Lyft or any of these places.
Hi, I'd like to be an Uber driver.
Okay, sure. Welcome aboard.
Don't I need to fill out a form?
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Name, Peter Griffin. Criminal history. This section is optional. I will skip this. And done. Here you go.
Yeah, none of this really matters. All I need to know is, do you have a car, a phone, and a face?
It's my dog's car. Oh, and I know you didn't ask, but I am quick to anger.
Okay, great. Now get out there and try to kiss as many ladies as you can. The record is 60 in a month. You, sir, are officially an Uber driver.
Oh, what a show.
Oh, because some of it rings true. Yeah. Get out there and kiss as many girls as you want, because the record is 60. Oh, Chad. I don't know. I think it's true, but it's funny. A lot of people go, Jesse Smollett was on TV. Yeah, but everybody knew Juicy was lying. Everybody did. And if you've never seen Dave Chappelle do Juicy Smollett, it is incredible. Because he talks about how the black community did help Juicy by not saying anything because they knew he was lying. Let's move on. Little Trump derangement syndrome.
It's now time for another episode of Trump derangement syndrome.
So we do this once a week. People who are insane, who've lost their minds because Donald Trump is president of the United States now. And it's since, it's been out there for a while. It used to just be MAGA folks they went after and conservatives. But it started to grow after November 5th, and it's continued to grow. And it is continuing and continuing and continuing.
Hey guys, everything feels really out of control and scary, and I'm really anxious. Elon Musk, did a Nazi salute for some reason. That's so scary. And Donald Trump's the president, and that's so scary. And he basically admitted to voter fraud, but we're all just kind of glossing over that.
What?
Also, if you look up, this is random, if you look up right now in the search bar on TikTok, the Taylor Swift song, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, it's all, for me at least, I'll tell you, it's all, replaced with woman, ? What is about to happen? I have, such, impending doom and fear, and, what is about to happen? So, I'm just laughing because I'm scared. I don't, why, I'm not understanding either why Elon Musk is involved. Isn't he not American? What is going on? What is happening?
Oh, my God. That person's lost their mind. Think about the fact that Trump lives rent-free in their head, but everybody who doesn't believe what she believes. She's never not been a victim. And anything that happens to her that she feels is wrong is automatically an aggression. We continue with Trump derangement syndrome.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Kelly, and I am...
First of all, your name is not Scarlett. We all recognize that. Okay? You're closer to Jim Kelly, the football player, than Scarlett Kelly.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Kelly, and I am officially declaring war on the Republican Party. If you are a Republican on TikTok and you want to interact with me, you deserve to die. You deserve to be shot. You deserve whatever suffering could possibly come to you. If you are a Republican and try to start any of that kind of nonsense with me in person, you will lose your life. This is war. I am not joking. It's done. You are not an American anymore. You're out. You're off the list. You've been naughty. Come on. We're gonna start giving you the coal in the form of massive stones on top of a slab of wood on top of you. Have a wonderful day.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there was Scarlett, who's having some issues, as you can tell. More Trump derangement syndrome.
Can someone tell me what MAGA men find attractive so that I can wear the complete opposite?
No need. You're f***ing killing it. Good job.
Let's just say this. She was not a handsome lass. That's all we're going to say on that one. Some more?
You should be scared right now, beginning with mass deportations starting tomorrow. He also announced that he plans to end birthright citizenship. You don't want to believe that supremacy doesn't rule the U.S.? He is showing it to us in real time. If you're not an older, white, straight man in the U.S., you should be scared right now.
Oh, I'm checking all those boxes. Oh, geez, Chad. Now, just being honest. By the way, all day yesterday, I waited for my net to catch all the women I wanted to catch so we can put them in the kitchen and make them have babies and take away all their rights. Nothing showed up. Keep checking my Amazon. I don't know how they're sending it to me.
You should be scared right now because they're coming for you. And there's not even a pretense that they aren't. Many of us will never understand how people could vote against their own interests. But here is where we face the consequences. We have been trying to sound the alarm bells to say, vote like your life depends on it. And here's where we are in the find out phase. And it is scary. You should be scared right now.
I'm not. I know. It's crazy that I'm not. But I don't feel the need to be scared. Oh, it's because you're a straight white male. No, it's because I'm not insane. That's why. It's as simple as that. I'm not crazy. I'm not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm not terrified of everything. I just look at the world and go, we'll be fine. No, we can't be. They're coming for us, Chad. No, they're not. They're not coming for you. First of all, the insanity of your self-importance is just as frightening as what you're saying.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Kelly, and I am officially declaring war on the Republican Party. If you are a Republican on TikTok and you want to interact with me, you deserve to die. You deserve to be shot. You deserve whatever suffering could possibly come to you. If you are a Republican and try to start any of that kind of nonsense with me in person, you will lose your life.
What do you guys think of that? Everybody scared? No? Nobody's feeling it? I mean, he threatened to just destroy everybody, kill us. Can't stop him. He's so dangerous. He's like a ninja. He's an idiot, like a lot of these people are. Finally, one more of Trump derangement syndrome.
All right, so tell me what just happened.
The people in the back of the car right behind you said that you're a Trump supporter, and just to let us know.
So they warned you that the car in front of them, which is me, is a Trump supporter.
Yes.
And what do they think you were supposed to do with that information?
I don't know, treat you differently.
Wow.
But that's crazy.
Wow,
how society is now.
Do you see how Democrats are and liberals?
Yeah.
They're so mean. That is truly shocking that the car behind me saw my Trump 2024 sticker on the window, alerted the Dunkin' Donuts team that I'm a Trump supporter, as if that would have some kind of impact.
It did not, by the way. He got his donuts. I would have paid for the people behind them and said, what do you think of that? Because I'm such a bad person. What a bunch of clowns. Everybody take a deep breath. If you're a supporter of the Democrats, great for you. Take a deep breath, relax. Nothing is going to happen to you till at least this weekend. Okay, fantastic. Coming up, talk a little weight loss. I'm wearing a vest, last vestige of trying to be a little thinner by wearing the vest. But we're going to talk a little weight loss, a bunch of other stuff still to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there, use my code Chad. Get a $20 value bag. It's a Jumpstart bag of Rough Greens that is a supplement for your dog or your cat. They have Meow Greens and they have Rough Greens. So we started using Rough Greens about 6 years ago when I had an older dog named Doodle, since passed away. But we were going to put him to sleep like 6 years ago. There was just nothing we could do. His hips were so bad you couldn't get near him. And we loved our Doodle. And we started giving him rough greens. And slowly but surely, he got better. And then it started to speed up, got a lot more active and stuff. And lo and behold, he lived almost another 6 years. And the only thing we changed was rough greens. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all of this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement that you can give your dog, and now with Meow Greens, your cat. Try a Jumpstart trial bag. It is a $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. You can do this by going to ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. Ruffgreens.com, code Chad.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the
All
entire
right,
group at
drivers in
Savory Spice.
Antioch got a crash 24 westbound right there at Haywood Lane. And then in Sylvan Park, the on-ramp partially blocked to go 40 eastbound from Whitebridge Pike, Briley Parkway. And we're waiting on an announcement on artificial intelligence from President Trump coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We're just talking about the AI, the artificial intelligence. It's so awesome, some of it. I mean, eventually it's going to take over the world and destroy us, but until then, man, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, let's just hope we're long gone by then.
Yeah, you were talking about those mammoths earlier, and I was like, oh, that reminds me of a movie. And then we talked about AI, and I was like, oh, that reminds me of another movie.
So
it's all going to kill us in the end.
There's a company in Austin, and apparently none of them have ever seen a movie, and they're scientists. And they're like, hey, we could bring back a woolly mammoth. Now, you're thinking to yourself, seems pretty cool, right? Like, that's like, if we're going to bring something back, I would go with dodo bird.
Yeah,
Right?
dodo bird, definitely.
If you could do that.
I think it's interesting that that in Texas,
Yeah.
a notoriously warm place is deciding to bring back the woolly mammoth.
Well, it's because there's very little regulations in Texas.
I mean,
right?
that's fair.
So, because that's what's going to happen,
That's
right?
fair.
Normally, it's a place in Eastern Europe or China where somebody goes, I got a great idea. We're going to lop this guy's head off, put another head on it, and we'll see if it works.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no regulation. So they've got the first round of the C round of funding. So enough people said, I'll give you $10 million. Let's see if you can do this. So, and they get it in increments. And the way this is going to go is, I don't know where they're getting the DNA, it's because I've seen a movie where it was like in sap
Yeah.
from a mosquito, but I don't know. And then they're going to, and then next thing you know, because here's the thing, as we all know, once one person does, because all science is like, that's playing God, we would never do it. They did it. Well, we should do it too. Let's see if we can bring back a saber tooth.
I mean, if they're going to do it, why can't we?
That's exactly it.
And also, you're not going to stop at just a woolly mammoth, are you?
No, you can't.
No.
It'll be neat at first going to see a woolly mammoth because we'll all say, I would never do that. And we're like, well, I should probably go look at it. Then they're going to bring back the saber tooth. Then somebody's going to go big time and go, all right, check this out. And the next thing you know, you got a T-Rex running through a town.
Then we'll really know. Did dinosaurs have feathers?
We will know that.
And did they roar?
They probably didn't the way we thought. They probably went, meow. We have the third hour on the way. A lot of stuff to get to. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We may get above freezing tomorrow here in Middle Tennessee. Fingers crossed. But prayers up for folks in the Deep South, man. They've got winter conditions, blizzard conditions across the Deep South. I saw where it's 28 degrees with snow on the ground in Baton Rouge. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Karen Travers is at the White House where an announcement on artificial intelligence from President Trump is expected.
President Trump's expected to announce $500 billion in private sector investment to build artificial intelligence infrastructure. It's a joint venture from 3 companies, OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle, and will collectively be called Stargate. It will open with a data center project in Texas and is expected to expand from there. $100 billion is expected to go out immediately. In December, Mr. Trump did an event at Mar-a-Lago with the CEO of SoftBank, who announced he agreed to invest $100 billion in the U.S. The CEO of OpenAI attended the inauguration swearing-in yesterday.
Well, 22 states now suing President Trump over the executive order limiting birthright citizenship. The states say it violates the Constitution. Here's Alex Stone.
The first line of the 14th Amendment says somebody born in the United States is a U.S. citizen, and for that reason, states are now suing, arguing President Trump's executive order is clearly unconstitutional and cannot be enforced. California Attorney General Rob Bonta.
I have one message for President Trump. I'll see you in court.
He and other attorneys general are asking a court for an immediate injunction to prevent the executive order from going into effect.
Tennessee's 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett telling WTN's Chris Hand Show today he's not a fan of former Tennessee Commissioner of Education Penny Schwinn being Deputy Secretary of Education under the new Trump administration.
And I'm going to let them know this isn't a good deal. We made a mistake.
Schwinn faced backlash in Tennessee during the COVID-19 pandemic for backing a policy of sending Tennessee Department of Health workers to homes to check on school-aged children. Marco Rubio, the first Trump cabinet member to be sworn in. Rubio, as Secretary of State, says ending the war in Ukraine is a top priority. As for the Middle East,
the Gaza ceasefire holding on day 3 with no violations by Israel nor Hamas. Gazans in the south returning to their homes, but most finding them in rubble. The majority of streets and buildings severely damaged in both Rafah and Khan Yunis. In Israel, the 3 released female hostages still in hospital undergoing medical tests. Doctors say they are in decent condition, considering they spent 471 days in captivity. Hamas set to release 4 more Israeli female hostages on Saturday. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. And Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Little rock and roll right there. AC/DC, baby. So, how long does Trump have? And I'm not talking about how long does he have as president? 4 years. They're not going to get rid of him. They're going to make his life hell. Unless he wins early, wins often. Normally, you get one thing in politics. So, Obamacare, right? Taxes. You get the one thing. Then we as a fickle bunch of folk go, you guys have too much power, so we take some of that power away. But through a bunch of other things like social media, the more that we are divided amongst each other, crazy algorithms, that's different now. We even get that one thing. Well, yeah, I think he is. Some of that is going to be fairly simple. Others are going to be tougher. Trump has 5 things that he's really promised along the way. He's promised a lot of stuff. Some of it is as easy as swiping a pin. Others are tougher. But if he's able to do these things, what he gets is the last 2 years of his presidency to really set a mark and set up J.D. Vance as potentially, I mean, again, I don't know because it's going to be an open primary and you never know. J.D. may get, everybody always thinks, oh, he won it. J.D. may get there and go, this sucks, right? Like, I don't want people with my wife and kids 24/7. You never know. But for the most part, you are setting that thing up for something more. And let me tell you guys something. Legacy matters to these people. It absolutely does. If you don't think that's true, you're fooling yourself. They want the rich people graffiti. They want the libraries named after them. They want all the stuff. They love legacy. And it matters. So to make sure that you are still kicking some ass, you better get some stuff done. That's why I broke it down into 5 things. They're absolute must. But one of them is such a must that you can even miss on some of the other ones. But if you get one of that one wrong, holy mother of goodness. Yeah, these are called priorities, kids.
Now it's time to count down Donald Trump's top 5 priorities. Number 5, drain the swamp.
The swamp. Easier said than done. We talked about it earlier. We've been joking about it throughout the day. The swamp for many people, they think it's politics, it's certain things here and there. It is bureaucracy is the real nightmare. I want you guys to understand the biggest donor to government is government unions. So they want to protect everything they possibly can. That means protecting their jobs. So what do? You make everything miserable and hard for them to do anything. The thought of Doge, which last night people got excited.
Sir, the next item, as you announced in your speech, is a requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work immediately.
Sounds great. Is that going to happen? I don't know. There were new contracts signed as Biden left. Many of these things that Elon and them want to do, they're protected. And they will fight. We don't have any unions here like places like Chicago, New York, and California have, where unions run everything. I've always said this, a president, they're a renter. Congressmen, senators, and bureaucracy, they're buyers, meaning they're going to be here a while. And even more so than senators and congresspeople are the bureaucrats. So getting rid of these people is a lot harder than I think people realize it's going to be. We're counting down the priorities Trump must absolutely crush it on so he can guarantee that there will not be a blue tsunami in the midterms.
Number 4,
debt and deficit. Big time. got to handle this. This is a tough thing. We talk a lot, and I don't expect him to fix everything. I think if you get some of the Doge stuff, if you can curtail some of the spending, that's going to be a win. It's more about control than trying to, get it where you're cutting everything. Because Trump, for a lot of people out there, he doesn't care, right? He'll spend. He's got no problem with that. We've seen that. I don't blame everything. He put on a lot. Everybody always wants to blame him for all you spent $6 trillion. Yeah, how much of that was for COVID? So let's take that off the table, and then we can talk about the rest. But this populism side of MAGA is expensive. There's no doubt about that. And we've got to figure out a way to think outside the box to increase some revenues, but cut spending as well.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before.
We'll find out how that goes. Easier said than done. Doesn't mean it can't happen. And some of that is also about, with the tariffs and whatnot, not just trying to bring more money in, but protect our workers. But we do need to realize that we're on a path that in a few years, here's the thing I hear from both Republicans and Democrats. We would never cut Social Security. We'd never cut Medicare. Well, you better figure something out because they're going to go bankrupt. So you better figure out what you're going to do to cover so many of these things. Because that's a real issue. And the amount of interest we're paying is absolutely insane. So let's get it sorted.
Number 3, foreign wars.
Ukraine, I'm hopeful about. I think that is going to happen. I don't see why it wouldn't. Both sides want an end to the nightmare. Earlier today, Marco Rubio.
It'll have to be negotiated the way all of these kinds of deals are negotiated, and that is in settings in which we use our leverage, our influence, our national power to bring about not just an end to a conflict, but also to provide long-term stability for Europe and beyond. I don't think anyone wants to see a conflict end only to see it restarted 2 or 3 years down the road.
No, and you never, Sun Tzu talk about it, you never, when it comes to your enemy, you don't surround them on all sides. They want an off-ramp. They need an off-ramp, and I'm talking about the pooter. Everybody understands that really gets this is he's running out of men. He's running out of bodies that are healthy. He's sending other people's from different countries to die. At some point in time, he gets it. He wants this thing done. But he wants assurances. There's not going to be no NATO. We're not putting any ginormous weapons next to you. We're not going to encroach on you anymore. We're not doing any of that stuff. At the same time, Zelensky needs an assurance as well. Okay, well, we fought to a stalemate, and now we want some assurances. And those assurances are, you make sure that he doesn't come over to attack us. We won't join NATO, but you give us some assurance that he's not going to come and attack us. And that's the way this will end. When it comes to the Middle East, I have to be honest with you guys. I'm not hopeful about it. The reality is Hamas is their business. Their business is terror, right? They are think of them as just a wholly owned subsidiary of Iran, and their tentacles are everywhere. And right now, Iran is struggling. They've got the ass kicked a couple times. Hezbollah's down big time. Money is drying up. The Houthis have been whooped up on. And Hamas is paid a massive price for it. But do I think for the next few months there's a chance at some peace? Absolutely. But you'll hear me talk about this a lot. They, in my opinion, it's like a business that's filing to restructure, Chapter 13. And they're going to build it up. and they're going to get to the point where they feel like they can do something again, and away they go. And even Trump says he is not hopeful about this because he understands what he's going up against. That's why coming at this in a different way and treating them more like a business and choking off money rather than trying to kill every one of them is going to be a better way of taking this on. Talk about the 5 things Trump needs to do in order to secure a strong midterm, which will give him 2 great years at the end rather than battling the Democrats all the way till he leaves office.
Number 2,
immigration. This one's easy. Some people say, well, this should be number 1, right? Immigration. No, this one's easy. It's a big deal, but it's a slam dunk. Biden undid a bunch of stuff. Trump's going to put it back into place, which he did yesterday. So with that, away it goes. Now, it's not going to be overnight, and we're going to see some definite mass deportations and some raids, but this was the easiest of all the things because it's already withstood challenges in court pre-Biden. Some of the stuff was already built in the walls, and you've also got a lot of people in this country, even Democrats, who are like, we're not going to fight this as much. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the birthright citizenship coming up in a little bit, but as far as getting the immigration side of it, the wall, what's going on at the border under control, this one is absolutely the easiest. But all that being said, of those 4, there is one that is the most important.
Number 1,
the economy. We all participate in the economy. And as the economy goes, so goes just about every other politician's career. And it's no different for Trump. Trump rode inflation. He rode wages slowing down, inflation crushing everybody. This is one of those things where when you win the economy, you win everything. If things are going great in the economy, your life is good, some of the other stuff you'll turn a blind eye to. It won't bug you as much. But if we get out of foreign wars and, our debt's still rising, but he's got it kind of under control and he's got the border kind of under control and things are looking better, good, but the economy's in the dumper. I got news for you. People go, Urgh. That's the reality of it. He could get the economy right, and he could get none of the other ones right. And people will still be like, well, he's all right. He's doing well in the economy. You get the economy right, and I think he's going to, but it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be quick. Inflation didn't come overnight. It's not going to leave overnight. On top of that, we still have a lot of stuff that we have to do when it comes to the economy, and that includes wages, things of that nature. These things aren't going to happen overnight. But over time, I think it can happen. But if he doesn't get this right, that's going to be a massive issue. Those are the 5 things Trump needs to do. Smart things to do. Easy things to do when it comes to things like immigration. I think Ukraine, again. But that economy is the hyper-focus of everything. It is the economy, stupid, as James Carville put it. A lot of stuff still to get to. Got some of your text messages coming in. We'll still do some weight loss stuff, bunch of other good stuff as well. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Look out there. We're just talking about, Social Security and things like that. What are you doing for your retirement? I want you to call my buddies at Bulwark, 866-779-RISK today, 866-779-RISK. Now, when you do, they're going to give you a free risk review. That's like a second opinion. Imagine that, right? Doctor, you want a second opinion? Why not for your retirement? Are you over-leveraged? Are you in positions that really aren't going to grow enough to get you where you want to go when it comes to your retirement? They'll show you what's going on. There's no hard sell. They're going to talk about risk management, lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility. How do they give you the most upside potential? That's through active management on a daily basis. Doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. Simple and easy. Call 866-779-RISK today. 866-779-RISK for Bulwark. Or check out what they do at knowyourriskradio.com, KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory services offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments of all risks, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 24378.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
All right, got a crash in Wilson County. The right lane is blocked 40 eastbound near Linwood Road. Channel 4 says Life Flight helicopters being sent to that location. Got an injury crash in Green Hills. It's going to be Hillsborough Pike right there at I-440. And President Trump says he doesn't like that post-inauguration prayer service he went to today. We got a report on that coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, Ken, you'll appreciate this. A lot of you. Sometimes people get really down out there. And they get sad. And they get worried. And every once in a while, I like to turn to my Uncle Gary to give us a bit of inspiration. Because I think we need it.
And now it's time for the Gary Busey moment of the day.
Top of the morning to you. My name's Gary Busey. There's one thing I feel when I wake up is what is the first thing I'm going to think of? That usually comes from your subconscious because you're not thinking. But then you feel something that turns into a thought, that turns into a feeling, and that's what you're thinking because it'll come true that way. Then whatever it is you're thinking, it leads to something good. It leads to something great. Always be positive in your thinking. Don't be negative. Don't be in fear. Don't be in doubt. Don't be in bewilderment. Just think clearly. With clarity. And the answers you already know. That's the art about it. And you will know the answers when you ask a question to yourself. And if you have more than one answer, ask your question to yourself 3 different ways, changing the words. And you'll have 3 questions in one.
Wow. You guys inspired?
Profound.
Those of you who don't know, that's Gary Busey. That's our moment of the day. We'll have a lot of those.
Yes, sir.
He's crazy, but fun.
Crazy is a word to use for Mr. Gary.
If you don't know anything about Gary, always a little bit odd. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But the motorcycle accident didn't help him.
No.
And he got into a wreck. He's the reason in California you have to wear helmets.
Oh, because of that crash?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
Yeah. His brain was on the side.
Yeah.
That was not good. And he was already struggling anyways in life, so.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, dude, Gary was like, he was a Mensa man, but not anymore, kids. Not anymore. Speaking of struggling, struggle no more thanks to weight loss.
Researchers looked into the records of more than 2.5 million patients in the Department of Veterans Affairs and found medications used for diabetes and weight loss under the brand names Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, and Mounjaro reduce the risks for 175 medical conditions and diseases.
That's amazing. So think about this. There's 175 different things that this could help you with. But I'm here to tell you, it's probably not the drug. It's probably the fact that you lose 50 or 100 pounds.
The study found the drugs approved by the FDA to treat obesity and diabetes also reduce the risk for pneumonia, sepsis, infections, blood clotting, and liver cancer, to name a few. But researchers also found the drugs carried risks, including for gastrointestinal side effects, kidney stones, and inflammation of the kidneys and pancreas.
Oh, do you want to have diabetes and struggle? Or do you want to lose some weight and feel good? But these things are incredible. And I'm sure everybody listening, you either have done it yourself or you've known somebody who's done it. And you look and you're like, wow, this is amazing how it works. And they're still trying to figure out what it does to the brain that causes that want to snack or eat or do certain things to the food noise to turn off. But that is, and it shows you it's the weight. We talked about it last week, how important it is to keep healthy. And, we talked about cancer, smoking, the drinking, all that stuff. But so much of it is just, it's common sense, which is not as common as we realize. Ooh, no. Coming up, a lot of stuff we're still going to get to because I like talking about things, including the wacky woke sermon today. And it was exactly that, a wacky woke sermon. And looking on the faces, because it was a prayer breakfast today, of J.D. Vance and several others, including Trump. I guess he was not happy with this. Yeah, I don't get it. Like, of wokeness in church, no. Sorry, just doesn't go. Doesn't mean you be mean. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean any of those things. But this weird want to be a preacher activist is bizarre. It is absolutely bizarre. You know what? To each their own. But Trump was not happy about that. We'll talk a little bit about that. A bunch of other things still to get to as well. If you're missing the show, grab the podcast. Also check out my socials at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, Instagram, Chad Benson Show TV on the YouTube and everything else. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Once again, drivers, we've got a crash in Wilson County blocking the right lane of 40 eastbound. This is going to be near Linwood Road at Tucker's Crossroads. Channel 4 says live flight helicopter has been dispatched. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Well, the first full day in office for President Trump's second term, and he is not happy about the District of Columbia's bishop's message in the post-inauguration prayer service at National Cathedral this morning.
Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy, the Episcopal Bishop of Washington, had a message for President Trump at today's inauguration prayer service.
I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution.
Reporters later asked President Trump what he thought of Buddy's sermon.
Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service, no. Thank you very much.
Not too exciting, was it? Didn't think it was a good service, is what the president said. U.S. senators have received new allegations against Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth, which he denies. This is from a former sister-in-law who claims Hegseth's second wife feared for her safety. Hegseth denies this claim, and so does the ex-second wife, who claims there was no physical abuse in their marriage. Well, the former sister-in-law, Danielle Hegseth, submitted an affidavit in response to a letter from the Senate Armed Services Committee ranking member, a Democrat, who says he's been concerned that the background check process has been inadequate. And on the subject of immigration, Tennessee 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett telling WTN's Chris Hand he's not sure the weather's the real reason the inauguration was moved indoors.
You got to realize 14 million people came into this country illegally. Yep. And there is some people here from the Middle East. You know, I've been warned myself because of my bill about defunding the Taliban of just what's going on, and people ought to be frightened. They ought to be incredibly frightened, and our national media ought to be ashamed.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
My Pillow right now is deep discounts on all kinds of stuff, including classic My Pillow, just $14.88. They've got the new quilt. They've got the new My Pillow waffle blanket, which is incredible. But don't eat it, all right? It's a blanket. It's not a waffle that you eat, it's awesome. Keeps you so warm. It's incredible. They've got all these great deep discounts. And here's the beauty of it. Everything's amazing. It's made amazing. You've got Giza cotton. You've got upland cotton. You've got all this incredible stuff. It's made in the United States of America. I love it. It is so easy to think, I'm fine with this pillow or that thing. When you get something that's really good, you're like, this is incredible. My Pillow delivers that. Little things go a long way, and My Pillow is there for you. Right now, go to mypillow.com/Benson. Save big on the classic My Pillow, just $14.88. Check out the new My Pillow quilt, the new My Pillow waffle blanket, and everything else. 60 money back guarantee, 10-year warranty. Check out everything. They've got deep discounts right now. mypillow.com/Benson.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Trump threatens 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada on February 1st. Freak out. Everything's an overreaction with him. Don't let him live rent-free in your head if you think that the world's coming to an end. It's not. Well, not like this. We've talked about AI. That's a possibility. I'm not going to lie to you. It'll be fun on its way, but then you're going to be like, uh-oh. We'll have that uh-oh moment. What happened? My vacuum attacked me. My Roomba.
Took off my pinky toe.
Oh, my wife wants a Roomba.
I got one.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. We named it Alfred.
Nice.
After Batman's butler.
Ooh, I like that one. My parents have two, and they're both named Dobby and Creature after the Harry Potter house elves. So that was
interesting.
Yeah, it was a little. It's kind of condoning weird elf slavery, you know. I'm not a fan of it.
Weird elf slavery. Well, we know what your house is like.
Hey, I said my parents' house, not mine.
That's an interesting. When do they get rights? Like the robots. We talked about robots last week, you know. And it's like, when do they get rights?
Well, if we're going, if we're going by the house elf rights in Harry Potter, it's when you give them an article of clothing.
Okay. Did you guys give anybody an article?
No.
Does the cats ride around on it? Does Fritz try to ride around on it?
No, Fritz, he's just pretty indifferent to it.
Okay.
He just hops up in his little bed and just goes right back to sleep.
Oh, yeah, because my wife really wants one.
Yeah, they're not bad, man. He runs for about an hour, and they get every inch of the room you put them in.
Because you set them up, if you turn it on, and it's some of the smarter ones now that can map out the whole layout of your downstairs and then just go for it. Then it'll find my parent. Yeah, that's the one my parents have. It's mapped out the entire downstairs. It knows where the couch is. It knows where the rugs are. It knows where the kitchen table is. Maps out the entire thing, cleans it all up, and then finds its way back home and plugs itself in.
By the way, so the minute we bring this up, people are chiming in with their names. Meryl Sweep.
That's awesome.
Somebody's got a shark vacuum. They named it Optimus Grime.
That's good.
Another one says, this one is my daughter's got a shark, named it Bruce. If you guys don't know, in Jaws, the name of the shark, they called it Bruce, which was Spielberg's attorney because he was a shark. That's why they called it that. You've got, Broomhilda.
That's good.
Broomhilda, good.
That is fantastic. Somebody's like, I've got 3 cats. Will the Roomba work on that? Well, it might. Now, to eat the cats, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to clear the cats away, but I've heard it works
somebody's
well
got a
on pet fur.
vacuum, and it also mops. That's pretty awesome.
How big is this thing then? Is it like a?
I think some of the new ones have that.
I guess. I mean, yeah. I'm just trying to think of how big this unit has to be able to carry enough water to be able to mop and like.
It's probably just got a little bit of that spray because you're going for the glow.
That's fair, yeah.
We got Spinderella. Rosie from the Jetsons has appeared on here several times.
That one's good.
So.
Man, I love the Jetsons.
Johnny 5. Johnny 5, baby. Matt will come up top of the hour, but first, what will happen? Trump puts out all kinds of stuff yesterday. And, of course, it is time for the lawsuits to roll in. We talked about that. It's going to happen. Each state, we did it in Tennessee, right? Texas did it when it came to Biden. They sue, hey, on behalf of the state, states' rights, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to happen. But Trump, one of his things that he signed yesterday, remember, executive orders and actions are 2 separate things. An action's kind of a wish. Like, it's suggested that you do this. It'd be nice if you could do this. An order is do it. Some of these things you're going to have serious issues with. One of which is, birthright citizenship.
Multiple lawsuits filed by Democratic-led states and immigrant rights groups say the president aims to end a long-standing constitutional principle by executive fiat. It's an action that they say would render thousands of yet-to-be-born children stateless. The order signed by the president says in about a month, babies born to women in this country illegally or even lawfully on work, student, or tourist visas cannot receive the benefits of U.S. citizenship unless the children's fathers are U.S. citizens or green card holders.
So It's not going to happen. The birthright citizenship isn't going to happen, nor should Trump have any way, shape, or form of altering it, because this is a constitutional thing. He's not a king. He's not. Absolutely not a king. We have 3 co-equal branches of government. The whole thing is protect the Constitution. If you can start messing with the Constitution by signing an order and hoping that works, that can't, and it shouldn't. And let's be honest, it's abused. The system is absolutely abused over and over again. And I wish people would be honest, but they won't. They come out, they pitch of, oh, we're just a nation of people just like this.
When we talk about immigrant communities, when we talk about who these people are, we need to remember that they are all of us. They're not some people far away who we can demonize. They are all of us. They are who we are as a nation.
And you know what? I don't demonize somebody coming here, making a better life. I don't demonize people coming here because they see the light on the hill. Their life is absolutely awful. They're escaping poverty, violence, corruption. I don't demonize them. I understand because I would do it too. That being said, we have rules. We have laws. And we must follow them. But our kindness has been absolutely overrun in the last 4 years, and quite frankly, over the last 40 years. We're only going to do this once, Reagan and Tip O'Neill, shaking hands, we're pals, let's do amnesty, we're doing this once, and then we're sorting this out. That never happened because both sides, the right and the left, the Republicans and Democrats, decided, we're going to use it to our advantage. We'll ignore it. The people won't pay attention. Finally, it got ridiculous. And it continues to be ridiculous. But I don't demonize somebody coming here. That being said, let's not pretend for a moment, Mr. New Jersey Attorney General and Rob Bonta in California Attorney General and all the other 18-plus states that are suing, that these people just happen to be walking by. Then they happen to get pregnant. Then they happen to fall in our country. Then the baby happened to fall out of them. And it was just all by happenstance and coincidence. It was that. Come on.
The reason why you put something in the Constitution, the reason why we talk about rule of law, this is not an abstract concept. It's so that a president, Congress, the majority cannot simply change a right on a whim. This is a right that was codified in one of the most important amendments ever codified in our nation's nearly 2.5-century history.
It's not going anywhere. It isn't. It's going to be challenged, and I think everybody thinks the Supreme Court's just going to sign everything that Trump sends his way. It's not going to happen that way. It isn't. They're going to find the courts wherever they sue that will benefit them and then get to potentially the Supreme Court. Not everything's going to get to the Supreme Court, but I think some will. But this just isn't one of those things. We're not going to, and somebody just said, you should inform yourself, it's about slavery. You're born here in this country, whether we like it or not, whether it was done for tourism, because that happens. People from China and Russia and elsewhere who have big money will pay to come here for 90 days and have a child. But the reality is if the minute you start messing with the Constitution, and we could do it through executive order, what does that look like for the Constitution across the board? Because once one side does it, the other side will want the opportunity to do it as well. We're not going to have a convention. It isn't going to happen. And so this is what it is. The other stuff that he's put out there, absolutely, that stuff's going to, because it's already withstood, the closing the borders, the remain in Mexico, all that stuff staying. But this isn't going to happen. And some of you are going to be mad like it's my fault. And in my fault, I don't make up the law, and I didn't write the Constitution, although I think it's a pretty damn good thing. Like the best thing of all the things. But we have 3 co-equal branches of government. He is not a king. And this will probably not just be challenged, it'll probably be shot down on numerous occasions. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a run at it. Because the more that people are aware of what's going on, the more they'll go, oh, I didn't know that. Speaking of that, earlier today, it was a prayer day. Like they had a prayer breakfast and stuff. And this is the woke pastor with Trump and JD there.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples.
Okay, settle down. And you're not supposed to be here. That's just it. And we're not talking about people that have a reason to be here, have work visas. We're not talking about people that have been paroled in here, as they say, and await to be heard. We're talking people who sneak across. And yes, they pay taxes, but they also get a lot of services. And we've been abused way too long. If we open the doors to everybody and said, hey, everybody's got 48 hours to get to America, and once you're in, we're shutting the doors, but you can be a citizen, what do you think our country would look like the next day? It'd be chaos. We have a border for a reason. We have rules for a reason. And it should be opening, and it should be welcoming. It should be easier to get work visas. But we have to be real as well. And this battle, when it comes to birthright, is the beginning of what is going to be I think, a surprise for some people out there who think that this is going to go right up to the Supreme Court and they're going to go absolutely and rubber stamp it. But if that's the way that's going to be, then what's it going to look like down the road when people want to challenge other things? Well, it's different then. Everybody's got it. Well, it's different then. If you're born here, you're on the soil, you're a citizen. We'll see what happens. A lot of stuff still to get to when it comes to Matt, who's wearing an orange jacket. He's coming on in here in a minute. Wrap up the show straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Absolutely. His name is Matt. He's here with me. He had somebody said you were hunting wabbits with your orange coat.
I like that. I got that on special.
I like that.
I got that on markdown. I like that thing,
I got
too.
it on the markdown. Where'd you get it?
I like that vest. That was an REI special. I don't normally, trust me, friends. Normally, you don't see Matt Murphy in REI. That's a swanky outdoors joint.
Well, yeah, usually you're like me. You go to the thrift store and you're like, yeah okay, maybe I didn't
Homeless
play
chic.
for the Pirates, but whatever.
Whatever. I mean, it's here, right?
It is a satin jacket, and maybe at one time I was a good break dancer.
And, oh, man. Back in the day, Pittsburgh Pirates, Jim Leland, remember him?
Smoking cigarettes.
Smoking his
square hats, Kenta Colby.
Oh, yeah, he's puffing on a smoke,
Those
man.
Those were fantastic. We Are Family and all that stuff, all the way up to Bonds and Bonilla.
Oh, loved watching the Braves beat the crap out of Barry Bonds back in the day.
Back in the day.
Anyway, so what's going on with you?
Bonds couldn't throw out, was it, what was his name? Sid
Bream.
He couldn't throw him out from
slowest
short.
Slowest human being on planet Earth.
He couldn't throw him out
from second.
Couldn't throw him out from
Braves
shortstop.
Braves win. That's my Skip Carey impersonation. Anyway. So are we still bathing in the warm afterglow of what was the inauguration?
We bathed a bit in that. There was a little bit of bathing, not too much. A lot of it was immigration.
I will say there's something to be. I mean, there was something to behold. My favorite point, and I'll start the show this way, but I'll tell you, Chad. My favorite point yesterday was when Donald Trump's sitting in the Oval Office, and all of the reporters are in there, and he's signing crap. And, he's doing the thing, and they're announcing what the executive orders are.
He's always surprised. Which one's this? We're getting out of the Who.
We're doing that. We're doing that. Oh, that's great. Oh, yeah, they'll love that. And he's just like, fire them away, boys. Let's go. Let's make it happen.
David Axelrod and Anderson Cooper both said it is refreshing the ways that he just had a roundabout conversation and press conference with everybody, considering the last 4 years.
He answered perhaps, I've not done the math, but perhaps more questions in an informal setting in 90 minutes, his first day in the White House back as president, than Joe Biden did in 4 years.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And the contrast of the activity, and, and we talked yesterday about the pomp of it and the balls and all that kind of crap. But the activity that happened yesterday, the speed of that activity, even amongst all the rest of the stuff, you're like, oh, okay, this is a different gear than we've been accustomed to.
Oh, well, yeah, because
regardless of your politics,
it's been glacial over the last, because it had to be, because you're not only you're trying to get stuff passed, you're also hiding the fact that the guy that is supposedly the president isn't the one trying to get stuff passed. It was definitely. I can't wait for the books. I've been saying this. The books that are going to come out, not from Kamala. That'll be more personal between her and Joe and the Democratic Party. But the behind-the-scenes
the insiders
who are going to come out and go, oh, my God, he had no idea where he was. He should never have been there.
Had no clue what was going on, had to be told with regularity. The Mike Johnson story.
Oh, the Mike Johnson thing.
He's like, no, Mr. President, you signed that executive order.
I did?
No, I didn't. I don't, whatever. And, and I said for 4 years, and once again, I mean, I understand that this is old news now, but the best we were ever going to see of Joe Biden on any given day was when he was in front of a television camera.
Yeah.
I mean, right? They know. I mean, he has the best handlers, the best PR people, the best communicators. They know exactly, and the minutes that he's going to be on television, so they build him up to those moments. So that's the best he gets. So I don't know. So I'm excited about today, tomorrow, and the next several weeks.
I told Chris earlier, I'm excited about not this week, but what happens next week when everything calms down and it becomes real business. And let's see what it looks like. Already the lawsuits flying in about birthright citizenship, and it'll be tested in the Supreme Court. But I think Supreme Court's going to go.
Birthright citizenship boils down. I'm going to talk about this today too, and I know you did. I think it boils down to the word "and."
We'll see.
I mean, because there's two parts to that sentence, and the middle of that is and so does that mean that you have to fill both components of that sentence, or one or the other? I mean, it's very, very interesting.
It's very interesting.
But here's the great thing. Donald Trump does all these things yesterday, and the liberal media, their heads explode. I can't believe he's doing this. He campaigned on every single bit of it.
He's not doing – this shouldn't be a surprise.
This is not a surprise.
He is who he says he is.
That's exactly right. So we'll bathe in that warm afterglow in just a moment, and we'll turn our attention in the 5 o'clock hour to State Matters. William Lamberth, House Majority Leader, in studio with us.
In studio. Is he also not running for governor? Because apparently everybody is running for governor, but not running for governor.
I think everybody's afraid of Martha.
Well, Martha's got the money and the
Marcia,
backing.
I guess.
Marcia's got the money and the backing of the powers that be.
And I think she's got the backing of Trump, so there you go.
There you go. All right, I'm out of here. You guys have a good one. We'll do it again tomorrow. Matt straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.